Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
Good day today. Had everybody out here. Got some good work, some good, 2-minute work. So again, this is just part of the process of us getting better as a football team. And guys are out here working and grinding, and we got a long way to go, but like the direction we're headed.
Dennis Allen, Saints on the practice field today for Minicamp. Brooke Kirchhofer from WWL was there. She's with us now. We appreciate it as always. Brooke, how are you?
Hey, Matt, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Can we start just by sort of setting the stage? What was today like? Sort of how was it organized? What did they do?
So before everybody gets too excited, remember they're in T-shirts and shorts, but to be honest with you, as a member of the media, I was so excited just to see the majority of the roster back out there, starters, things like that. Just kind of, it looked a lot like OTAs as far as just individual drills. We did get to see a little bit more of 7-on-7, but again, it's not like they're hitting full speed like they are at training camp just yet, but we got to see enough of some of these starters that got back, which included Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, some of the guys on the offensive line, and of course, Marshawn Lattimore, who everybody has been dying to see. Let's
start with Kamara. And there's just so many storylines, obviously, around Kamara because what he's potentially facing this offseason. I guess first things first, how did he look today?
He looks great. He looks like vintage Alvin Kamara as far as physically. Now, as far as his personality, this is something that I was really curious about. Kendre Miller, the Saints drafted a running back who has a whole lot of confidence. And when he was asked about joining the Saints, it was, I'm coming for that number one. I got a lot of respect for Kamara, but I want to compete. Then they go out and get Jamal Williams, who's kind of, the goofy anime running back, but still very much wants to solidify his role on this team as the number one running back. And then you have true running back one, Alvin Kamara, roll out there. The first thing I wanted to see was, how are the three of those guys interacting? And when I tell you it seems like all three of them were on an island, that is what it was like. Alvin Kamara was not his typical, chalking it up with the guys. He was kind of off to himself. I never saw him communicate with Kendre or Jamal, which is very bizarre given what you saw with Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, cutting up. Now, Alvin did cut up with, Derek Carr and coaches and all that. It's not like he showed up and was like, I'm out for blood, I'm out for everybody. But that competitive drive was on full display from those three running backs in that room.
It's an interesting way to put it, Brooke. Is it good that there's the competitive drive, or maybe a negative that they all are gunning for each other? Do you have a read on that early?
Well, look, I think the Saints PR staff would love it if they all got along.
Right.
But I actually like this, and I think Saints fans should like it too. It's always a good thing when you have competition in a room like that. And look, running backs, the shelf life gets younger and younger, as we've seen in the last few years in the NFL. That's why they went out and got a guy like Kendre Miller. Now, he wasn't back yet. He's still getting those mental reps off to the side, coming back from an MCL injury. But Jamal Williams, he ran with the ones whenever they were in 7-on-7 or just offensive drills separately from the defense. But I like it. Putting some pressure on Alvin Kamara to get back to his self. It's been a couple years since we've really seen him put up the numbers that he did, in 2020, 2021. But I think a lot of that, too, is because the load management last year was not where the Saints would have wanted it to be. They were kind of just having to rely on Alvin Kamara. And I think because of that, you didn't get to see him play his best. So I think this is going to be a really good thing, having three guys that you can put on the field.
Brooke Kirchhofer is with us. She was at Saints Minicamp today. You mentioned Taysom Hill as well. I did see some video of Taysom Hill throwing the football. So what's going on? Is this just a Minicamp thing? He's a camp arm, or are they working him at quarterback?
Matt, here's my thing. Why is Dennis Allen continuing to try and feed us the lie that he's a tight end? Come on, be for real. I love Dennis Allen. I think he's a great guy, but come on, BA, be serious. The last time we were at OTAs, he said that Taysom Hill was going to stay in the tight end room. I saw him maybe over there for a couple plays. The guy was with the quarterbacks, and honestly, it felt crowded, the quarterback room with Carr, Winston, Hayner, and then you have Taysom Hill, who's not in the red jersey. He's in the typical black jersey. And he would go off to the side with quarterback drills. Taysom Hill threw a couple balls. He also caught a couple balls from Carr. I think he is still going to have that jack of all trades. Oh, and I saw him in special teams too. So I was like, where is this narrative that he's going to be a tight end? That's not happening.
So did he do any work with the tight ends? I mean, look, you had Foster. Look, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
He did, but like how you have in baseball, like you have utility next to it. Like, can we just say Taysom Hill's utility? You know what I mean? Like, he's a guy that's going to have multiple roles, and that's okay to say that for the head coach to say that. I'm not sure why they continue to try to push the narrative that he is just a tight end, because he very clearly is going to play multiple roles.
Another pass catcher is Michael Thomas. A lot of headlines, obviously, when he was out there at OTAs. Was Thomas out there today? If so, what did we see him do?
So he was out there, but he was not with the wide receivers. So whenever special teams rolled out, which, as you know, in these OTAs and mandatory minicamp, that's a big bulk of these practices, because that's where they're kind of weeding guys out. So that was a significant amount of time with special teams. So because of special teams, Carr, Winston, Hayner, and Michael Thomas, and some of the quarterback coaches and assistant coaches, or the analysts, they were off to the side on the other field. And Carr and Michael Thomas, I mean, the volume they got of just catching back and forth, because Thomas wasn't involved in any of the drills. He's obviously not cleared. I didn't see Michael Thomas do anything outrageous legs-wise. Now, as far as his hands and his catch radius and things like that, it's still stunning to see it. And they were actually, I went over there just to listen to them, because we weren't allowed to shoot this part of practice. And I heard Derek Carr mention to him, like, hey, I'm 32 years old, Mike, as far as, like, I can't just be over here and throw you 100 balls, like, back to back to back to back. And you know Michael Thomas, that just competitive edge, and his mindset's different. And he's going to want to push those boundaries and things like that. I will say we did see a pretty cool one-handed catch from Michael Thomas, but this is like the 1-2 catch step. Like, he's not sprinting out onto the field or, you know, doing these significant routes. It was very much he would stand in front of the end zone and just catch back shoulder balls from Derek Carr. But it was a significant amount of time.
And two more for you. Brooke Kirchhofer is our guest, WWL. Of course, the New Orleans Football podcast as well. Check it out. She's on Twitter at Brooke Chesney. Give her a follow. I got to ask one about defense. You mentioned some of the starters back on defense. What if you mentioned Lattimore specifically, what would you say might be the biggest storyline defensively today?
So for me, and I think this will carry through training camp, because I think it's still a pretty heated competition, is who is starting opposite Marshawn Lattimore. Is it Alontae Taylor or is it Paulson Adebo? And one thing that was surprising to see today, and I wouldn't buy too much into this, Paulson Adebo and Marshawn Lattimore took all of the first-team reps at cornerback, and Bradley Roby took all of the first-team reps in the slot. Alontae Taylor worked in with the twos, and the reason why I think the Saints are doing this is because I think they want him to earn it. We know Alontae Taylor has been, tooting the horn of, like, I've got a lot of confidence in myself. I know my ability, and we've seen his ability. To be honest with you, if I had to put money on it, I would think Alontae Taylor would beat out Paulson Adebo, but I think they're trying to find a way to put all of these guys on the field at the same time. But it was interesting that Alontae Taylor was not working in the slot, and it was Bradley Roby that was there. But I will say, look, when Marshawn Lattimore was out there, the vibe changed, and on the very first 7-on-7 team drill, he had a pass breakup on the very first play, and the guys went nuts. It was like, all right, last back. So we'll see what happens opposite of Lattimore. It's a crowded room. It's a good thing to have, given all the injuries the Saints had last year in the secondary. So I think it's a good thing for right now, but the Saints are going to have some decisions to make.
And please, God, just stay healthy for sure.
Oh, gosh. Oh, you know it.
Before you go, Blake Grupe, is he a legitimate threat to take Will Lutz's job as the place kicker?
As crazy as it sounds, yes.
Okay.
So when you look at the playing field, when you're out there and you're looking across the practice field and you see the two of them, I'm not kidding. They look like there's like a 20-year age difference, because unfortunately for Grupe, he is so undersized, Matt. Like, I wish I could give you like a side-by-side picture. And I hate to say it, too, because the kid's probably tired of us saying he looks like a middle school kid, but he does. Like, he's small on the field. But guess what? Doesn't matter. If you got that torque in your leg and you're kicking and you're nailing field goals longer and more consistently than Will Lutz is in practice, which is what we have seen, Will Lutz is seriously going to have to compete in these next 2 mini camps and then in training camp. And I think he knows that Groupie is coming for his job, and there have been enough signs that right now it almost seems like the favor is in Groupie if you're just going based on made field goals right now.
We are almost to camp. We are getting dangerously close, and it's going to be an exciting time. Brooke Kirchhofer, thanks so much for the time, Brooke. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Matt. Have a good one.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.